Oliver, who are you and what do you do?
Hey, Oliver here. I am called the Spiritual Activator, and what I do is I help people release the biggest blocks holding them back energetically so that they can actually live in their fullest potential.
In simple terms, what is a spiritual activator?
It's someone that returns other people to their most authentic self.
What made you step away from business for your mental health?
Having my son, he was my motivator, he was my why. So when he was born, I was like, okay, you know what? I can't be living a dual life of running businesses here and there and on the side, being a closet healer. So he motivated me to own my authenticity, own my story, and really shine my light.
Were you scared to walk away from success?
Yeah, it was scary because I built, for 20 plus years, I built, such a big brand and companies, and it was so fun doing it. It gave me just a lot of security as well and freedom. So walking away from that to get into the healing, the healing passion, to become a healer, which, I thought there was no platform, there's no role models for success. To me, it was trading fun and freedom and certainty for something that was unknown, but I was deeply passionate about.
Tell the story of your first paid healing session. What happened?
A lot of them were free at the beginning, and then when I started to charge, it was actually a group of people that were there, and it was a room full of men, believe it or not, because I was still in business, and my clients, I invited them to do a workshop that was a healing workshop. So all these entrepreneurs came in there, and halfway through it was a room full of grown men all crying, right? And they never cry, and they're never in touch with their authenticity or their emotions, but they were just releasing so much stuck childhood trauma that they were just all crying. And then afterwards, they all got what they need. They all got the relief, the peace, the calm, the confidence, whatever they came for, that they paid for, they actually got it towards the end.
What is your newest book, Do This Before Bed, really about?
It's about practices that you can do before you go to sleep. And it's super overrated if you think about it. You have morning routines, right, that you have to do in the morning, and you do them and then you feel good for a moment, and then life gets in the way. But what I've realized is bedtime is such a powerful time to really heal, to learn, to rejuvenate, to program your energy or your subconscious for success and happiness, right? Because if you do it right before going to bed, you've got 6 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, or maybe semi-interrupted, right? To where you can be in those states longer. Therefore, you're getting more of the benefit of it versus doing a morning routine. You do it for 5 minutes, 10, 20, 30 minutes. You maybe get 5 or 10 minutes or an hour of runway, and then life gets in the way. So in my experience, bedtime is super underrated. But if you know what to do before bed, the next day you don't even have to worry much about your morning routines.
What's the single nightly practice from Do This Before Bed you'd recommend to everyone?
Before bed, I would recommend everyone to release connections that they had throughout the day. Because throughout the day, we are absorbing people's energies, people that we meet, people who we know, people who we think about, people who think about us, emails that we've read, right? People that have caused emotions in us. There's an energetic exchange that happens, right? And then there's people who we also lend our energy to, that we support. And what ends up happening is before going to bed, if you sleep with all that stuff, you really don't get a break. You take that with you into your sleep. Next thing you know, you wake up the next day and you're tired, you're anxious, you're frustrated, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, right? So before going to bed, I tell people to release those connections. And one of the best ways to do that is, closing your eyes and imagining that person in front of you, and imagining a bright white light coming down, and then wrapping them in a bubble, of this light, and then sending that bubble away far into the horizon until you no longer see them. And setting the intention, because intentions are really, really powerful. They're like prayer. Intentions that, I'm willing and I'm ready to release, all the connections that are dragging me or draining me of my energy, right? And anyone who I've lent my energy to, I'm calling my energy back. And it's important to do that, releasing, these connections that no longer serve you and calling back your own energy from the people that you've lent it to.
What's it like sharing the stage with your wife?
It's always fun because it throws me off my when I'm on stage, I have a specific style. I'm very, very go and intense, and my wife is also the same, but in her own way. So when I'm there, it just throws me off because now I'm like, okay, now we get to do this dynamic, and it's fun because that's typically how we are at the dining table or at home, and it's a very vulnerable, authentic, intimate moment that we share with our family and friends. So it's exciting that the world gets to see that. But we ping pong, with each other on stage. She reads my mind, I read her mind, right? And I feel like it's such a unique dynamic. And when people see it, I think they like it because there's certain people that appeal, that appeal to my wife's style and then my style. So when we combine our styles, I think we reach a much broader audience that it lands with.
What's it like seeing stadiums full of people seeking peace?
It's been one of my vision boards for a long time. I remember when I started 20 years ago, I couldn't imagine a stadium at first. I thought it was just one person, and even that was hard to believe because I thought, who am I to change someone's life, right? And then once I started getting good with one person, then it was like 3 people, 5 people, 10 people, and now it's like one of our biggest events. It's 100,000 people that we get to serve. And to me, I look at their faces and it fuels me because I know that pain, I know that frustration, I know that grief or that anger or that feeling of guilt and shame and not knowing what to do and spiraling in something that's repetitive. I know what it's like, and I've been there, and it's what motivates me to get people out of there fast because I believe that life isn't about suffering. I don't believe we came here just to heal. I believe we came here whole to thrive in life, and then life happens. Therefore, when life happens, we gotta heal so that we can get back to who we are, right? And healing is just a phase, and after you heal, you thrive. So to me, it's exciting because I'm like, I know the power of the moment when people come together wanting to change their lives. It doesn't end with them. There's a ripple effect. They end up changing, their families' lives, their friends' lives, their communities' lives by example, and the ripple effect to me goes on and on and on. So when I see it, it is I'm filled with gratitude, honor, feel blessed, and I feel like I am doing something that's bigger than me. So I am super grateful that I get to do it.
Biggest misconception about energy work?
Ooh, that it's woo-woo, or you've got to believe it. You have to believe it for it to work. So when it comes to energy and energy work, people don't realize that energy is an invisible force that affects all of our lives, whether you believe it or not. The times where you're thinking about somebody randomly, and the next thing you bump into them. You text, they text you, or you call them, you get an email, or you feel like someone is staring, at you, and you turn around and they are, right? Or you walk into a crowded area or a mall or a party, and you just feel overwhelmed with crowds because you start feeling their energy. And when you realize that energy is everywhere, and it's the invisible thing that affects us all, then you realize, what? In this life, it is a player. You got mental health, you got emotional health, there's also energetic health. And we do things unknowingly and unconsciously to actually clear our energy, right? When people, let's say for example, my wife, when she wakes up in the morning, she might have absorbed a lot of energy in her sleep. What does she do? She moves her body. Why? Because moving your body releases energy. She journals. Why is that? Because when she journals, whatever is heavy on her heart goes into the paper, and she's able to release it there, right? And I'm more of music, salt bath, right? Being in nature, and a lot of other things. When you realize that we unconsciously do energy work. It's not something that is isolated to, a specific thought pattern or religion. It's everyone here does energy work. We just don't know that we're doing it because it's so natural.
How do you respond to people who call this a scam?
I've been there, and I've dealt with a lot of people. I would say 30 to 40% of people that I meet are skeptical, and that's understandable because energy work is, although it's one of the most ancient concepts, it's new in our society, it's new in our culture. And the mind is programmed to have a lot of proof, sometimes a lot of first-hand proof, repeatedly before it starts to believe. So I know it's more of an education and experiential process. And to me, I am spearheading a lot of that right now. A lot of my work, we have researchers, doctors, neuroscientists, experts that go in, and they do all these studies of before and after, just so that we can have more documented, proof of how energy works and affects all of us, right? So I think that it is normal to be skeptical. It's normal for people to think it's a scam, but hopefully in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, when more bodies of research and proof come out, then people will be more open because they start seeing that it's actually not different than a lot of the things that we have that we believe in.
How do you stay grounded when you're surrounded by high-profile energies?
So it's how I see people. So before I go out, of course, I'd have my practices of, grounding myself and refueling and self-care. But when I'm out and about, I see people as souls. I see them as the best version of them, the most authentic version of them, right? So when I'm interacting with them, it's not so much person to person, although a lot of times it is. I see it soul to soul, and that's when I don't get starstruck or shy or just thrown off with anything, because I see them as they are, and behind the masks, behind the personas, behind all those different things, it's just a soul meeting another soul. And I remind myself of that every single time. And when I meet people, I am also very, very much aware that the things that run through me, what I'm doing, is not something that I'm actually doing all by myself. That there's, whether it's God, higher power, universe, whatever you believe in, that floats through me, that supports me through it, and I'm just a vessel for it. So a lot of times I also know who I am, and who I'm not, and I'm very grounded in that. So when I meet people, it's, I'm very much coming from a place of how am I being led to serve and connect versus, what other people might be thinking of, like, ooh, they're this, they're that, right?
Do you ever doubt your methods?
At the beginning, yes. And I had to come up and journal a list of all the times where it's worked at the very beginning. And it was at first several times and dozens and hundreds. And then now it's just like, I built so much proof in my own mind, and there's so much documentation and research and case studies and testimonials to where I am now. At first I'm like, okay, I can do it. And then I taught other people how to do it, and they're getting a lot of results. So now I'm like, okay, not only can I do it, but other people can do it as well. So when I started seeing that it's replicatable and people are getting in the same or if not better results when I teach them how to do it, then it's built a lot of belief over the last 20 years that this thing is not only real, but it is one of the most powerful forces that we don't know about, that we need to learn about.
How do you recharge after giving so much to others?
So a lot of it is being proactive. So in the past, if I know I'm gonna go into a big event, then everything is dialed in, right? I'm getting my self-care, a lot of family time, which rejuvenates me, right? I make sure that I am tuning into a high space before I serve, and that's actually a big one, is making sure when I'm serving from the highest space possible, not from my human self. Because if I'm just serving using my own my own body, my own energy, then I'm gonna be depleted fast, and I'm gonna take things on like everybody else does. But if I'm serving from a higher space and I'm prepared and I'm protecting my peace, I'm protecting my potency, I'm protecting my vibration, what ends up happening is as I serve, it flows through me, I don't lose it. I actually get fueled up. So a lot of it is where I serve from is important. A lot of it also is what I do before serving, what I do after serving to make sure that I'm replenished, and at times what I do during. If I feel myself like, oh wow, this is starting to feel heavy, I might take a break for 30 seconds or a minute, like kind of like recenter, right? And not let it build up and then go back in, right? So a lot of it is having routines that I put in place before, during, and after I serve.
When you feel low energy, what's your 3-step reset?
When I feel low energy, I just stop. First of all, I just stop and ask myself, okay, what's causing this? Is it a person? Am I focusing on something? What is the driving force? And I'll remove myself from it. So if I don't know what it is, I'm just gonna stop and go somewhere. I might go for a walk. I might do a change of activity. I just want to stop whatever it is, because that whatever I'm doing is what's probably causing that. Next thing I do, okay, is I start, to do things that are a little bit more relaxing. They're a little bit more enjoyable to me. So I might listen to music, might get some sunlight, might move my body, I might call a loved one, right? I might just close my eyes for 60 seconds and focus on breath work. I might go out there and get some sun and think about things that I'm grateful for, but I'm just filling up my cup. And the third step is when I'm done all that, when I'm done with all that, I do another check-in to see if I'm ready to re-engage. And if I'm not, then I grant myself grace to go longer. I grant myself grace to, okay, let me go ahead and do this longer for another 30 minutes of an hour. Or I might go like, okay, let me do this. Let me go ahead and go back and do this. So the check-in is important. I step away from whatever I'm doing, right? I catch it when it's early. The first sign, typically, I replenish, my cup, refuel, and I do another check-in to see if it's time to go back or to do it longer.
If you could go back and tell your 20-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
Everything is happening for you. And everything in life, even the things that are tough, even the things that are dark, even the things that feel like they're painful, to where there's no end goal or end sight in mind, like it's closer than you think. Keep going, and it's all gonna work out even better than what you've planned or imagined.
If you weren't an energy healer, what would you be doing right now?
I would probably be in a band, playing music. I was in a band in high school. Love playing, creating songs, very, very artistic in that regard. I mean, the other thing that I could be doing, I'm already doing. I'm also in business, an entrepreneur, investing in things, and that's my other love besides being an energy healer. But if I wasn't any of those, then absolutely in music.
Favorite city to teach in?
Ooh, Sedona, Arizona. Sedona, if you guys haven't been, it's such a magical place. And it's known for its mystical properties. It's elevated in energy. It's a sacred site. To me, it's like going into, the Stonehenge or Egypt in the pyramids, or somewhere where there's elevated energy. Sedona is just an hour and a half from Phoenix. I mean, you're there. It feels like a postcard coming to life, right? And that's where I've had my biggest transformations. That's when I had my spiritual awakening, was in Sedona. And it's like, the best way I can describe it is you're like on top of one of the biggest crystals that magnifies whatever intention you have. So if your intention is to heal, it'll be magnified. If your intention is to manifest, it'll be magnified. If your intention is to release things that are holding you back, it'll be magnified. So a lot of my work, I love doing it there. It's because it's got those properties, and it's something that I believe everyone should experience at least once in their life.
3 podcasts or shows you love that aren't about spirituality.
Podcasts and shows. Like TV shows? Okay. All right. So shows, let's see, what do me and my wife binge on? Schitt's Creek, Modern Family, and Sopranos.
Do you have any superstitions?
Superstitions. You know, I had one time growing up, and I've never done it since. So growing up in the Philippines, my mom had this superstition. There's a lot of them, right? Now, one is if you see a black cat, it's bad luck. Never happened. One of them is if you dream about losing your tooth, apparently a close family member or a friend or someone you know will pass. And my mom has had this happen to her multiple times, and a lot of her friends, and all those different things. So when it first happened to me, I was like 14 or 15. I had this dream. I was gonna lose my tooth, right? And I did what she said to do, which was when I woke up the next day, I looked for a tree, and I bit the tree for about 30 seconds to a minute. And apparently, the tree takes the energy of that happening and never happened. And it's never gonna happen when you do it. So I did that awkwardly as people were walking by my street, looking at why is this kid biting a tree? And let me tell you, nothing happened, fortunately, and I never had to dream again. So I never had to do and bite a tree. But that was the one time that I was like, you know what? I really don't believe it, but gosh, like all these stories, I just don't want to risk it.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Crystals or breath work?
Crystals.
Podcast or live event?
Live event.
Favorite comfort food?
Comfort food. Tiramisu.
What do you want people to remember about your work in 50 years?
In 50 years, I want people to remember that hold on. That I made energy healing mainstream and acceptable, and that it started a movement that is global, right? And it's everywhere. Like I want it to be when people, look at hospitals and they look at, corporations, they see energy healing there. It's in school systems, it's everywhere. And in a lot of ways right now, it is. A lot of my practitioners have brought my work into different areas. But I want it to be as common as yoga or a gym. People are like, oh, there's an energy healing center. And that it's work that moved humanity forward in a time where it needed it the most.
If you could give a 30-second message to someone who's literally at their lowest, what would you say?
That the light within you is brighter than the darkness around you. And you weren't born broken. You were born whole, right? And then life happened, right? And you had no resources, no teachers, no one told you what to do, maybe even no role models. And throughout life, with time, you forget who you are. You forget what you came here with. You forget what your gift is to the world because you've experienced all this pain. And what if the pain that you've experienced actually is the reason why you're here? What if the pain you've experienced is the main thing that you're trying to solve and heal on the planet, that you are here for a bigger reason and bigger purpose? And what you're feeling right now, it's actually not forever. You're feeling it right now until you no longer will, because you have tapped into what's inside of you. You've remembered who you are. You remember that light, and you shine it brighter and brighter as the day goes by. And next thing you know, the light within you becomes brighter than any darkness around you, because the light within you is actually the solution to all the darkness around you.
Name one thing you still want to learn.
Probably deeper into AI. I want to see how it will affect humanity. I'm very big on studying systems that affect people at scale, affect, civilizations, thoughts, things that can program people and, tilt things in one way or another. So I want to understand it and see how it can be used for uplifting humanity, how it can be used for, raising the vibration of the planet, for positivity, how it can be used for good.
What's your rating of the sit?
9 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10.